Hi everyone, it's Karen here and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a brand new tutorial where I created a layered card where I use Altenew's Beautiful Day stamp set and the set of Altenew's blue matching inks. All the products are listed below in the description area of this video. This is a beautiful stamp set that you can layer together to create a 3D looking flower, and I was really excited to use it with the Altenew inks. I didn't want to use regular colors for flowers, so I thought using blue would look really good. And I love combining blue and gold, so that was a perfect opportunity for me to do so. The first thing I did is I took the outside layer of the stamp. This is the one that creates the outline, and it could be the first or the last layer that you apply and you stamp. So I put it on top of my Tim Holtz stamp platform and pressed on it and placed it where I could cut it later on. I applied my anti-static powder tool and then I inked the stamp with VersaMark ink. This is the clear VersaMark ink, and then I stamped it. This is a Nina Crest Solar White paper, and I stamped with the VersaMark ink twice so I would get a good impression. The reason why I'm stamping this outline first is because I wanted to emboss it and have the outline so I can stamp the other layered parts of the stamp. I actually went ahead and stamped another leaf set because I wanted to have two leaf components to the card. Once I finished stamping all the images, I applied some Ranger Princess Gold embossing powder to everything, and then I heat set it. Having an outline really helps with being able to stamp everything beautifully. I could definitely add the outline later on and add that gold component after, but I really wanted to have it first so it's much easier to line up the stamp. Then I went with the first stamp of the set, which is the background stamp, and I used the lightest color to stamp in the middle of the flower and on the leaves. You have to use a clear block so that way you can easily line it up on top of the flower. And I did not have the die cut for this one, so I did end up cutting it manually. And because I'm cutting it manually, I can easily correct any mistakes I make. I stamped the flower twice because I really wanted that lighter color to show up nicer in the background. Then I took the middle color, which is the next one that follows in the set, and I stamped some shaded areas on the flower. Again, I did the same thing. I lined it up and then I pressed it and created that stamped image. Finally, I went ahead and stamped the third layer with the darkest color and lined it up again. Now, you don't have to emboss the outline stamp. You could use the 4 colors that come in the Altenew set and use the last stamp, which is the outline, with the darkest color. So you could start with a lighter color and stamp all 4 stamps with the Altenew sets. The good thing about the Altenew inks is that they come in sets of 4, but you can use them for all different types of stamps, whether they have 3 layers or 4 layers. So in this case, I went and added some embossing powder to create that golden outline, but you could easily do it, use the darkest color of the set of inks. I did the exact same thing with both sets of leaves, where I started with the lightest color and then added the other 2 with the other stamped layers. With the leaves though, there was only 3 sets of layers, which was the outlined leaf, which I used to do in gold, and there was also the light layer, which is the background layer, and then there is just one other layer which creates the highlights on the leaf. So for that one, I used the darkest out of the set, but you could definitely use the medium color as well. It's up to you how you play with these stamps. You can create so many different types of shaded objects just by combining the different stamp sets and the different inks together. To create an interesting background for the card, I took another part of the stamp set which just has small vines or leaves that can be stamped in the background. I took the second lightest color and I started applying it to the background in different directions. I also used a Nina Crest Solar White paper to stamp on top of it because it really gives you the best results. These inks look beautiful and they dry a little bit lighter than when you applied them the first time, but it still looks really good. And all I did is fill out the page to create an interesting pattern in the background that would match everything else. Then I took these mini flowers that were also in the set and I filled in the empty spaces with these small little flowers. I just stamped them in different areas to just fill in that blank space because that made it look a little bit more consistent. For the sentiment, I used the actual sentiment that came with the stamp set. And I used the VersaMark ink to stamp it onto a blue cardstock and then embossed it with the same gold embossing powder. Then, because it looked so empty, I took a ruler and used an embossed pen to make some lines and create a border around the sentiment. This pen stays wet, so it's really easy to emboss with it. And you can create any type of design with it. You can make lines, you can doodle with it, you can even write with it, and it will emboss whatever you did with that pen. So I really like it because of it. And you can use it for so many different things. This is, as I said, the Ranger Embossed pen. Once I had done drawing the lines, I added the same embossing powder and then heat set it, and it created a beautiful border around my sentiment. However, it still looked a little bit empty, so I took some of the leaves that I had outlined before with the gold, and I stamped only part of that leaf at the edges of the blue cardstock. And that gave a little bit more interest to the background and matched everything to my card. Then I added the embossing powder again and heat set it, and that looked beautiful. To add a little bit more gold in the background, I wanted to add a few splatters. First, I applied my anti-static powder tool, and then I went and used the resist spray from Holtz to splatter in the background. I used the spout and hit it with another marker to just create some splatters in the background. Then I took my embossing powder again and embossed those splatters. Now it was time to assemble the card. For the sentiment, I used foam tape to erase it a little bit and create that 3D effect. So I put some foam tape in the background and then I glued it to the top of my card. I wanted the flower and the leaves to hang from the top and as if it's dropping down. And that helped to create movement in the card. And the splatters helped for that as well. I arranged the card the way I liked it and made the leaves come out of the flower. I did have to cut a couple of leaves out of it so I could arrange them in a different place on the card. Then I added some tape only at the top of the flower so it would match in terms of height, and then the leaves were glued to the background as well. Then the whole paper was glued onto a 4¼ by 5½ card, which is a standard card, with some foam tape because I wanted it to raise a little bit from the background. At this point, I could have left it the way it was, but I realized that I had made some mistakes and I wanted to fix them because I wasn't going to print a whole new sentiment. So I knew that I wanted to fix some of the mistakes I had made in the background. So I took my embossed pen again and made some more pretend splatters at the top of my card and also some at the bottom of my card. That way, it really matched everything. I embossed it with the same Princess Gold embossing powder that I had used throughout the whole video. And I really love how the gold and the blue matched together. It really made it look classy and very elegant. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked my video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends on social media. For more inspiration, visit my website and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much and have an amazing day. Bye!